Hi everyone, it's Rochelle from Tax Navigator Solutions, and I want to talk to you about 4 things you should not do when you owe the IRS. So the first thing is don't panic. I know when we think about the IRS, we automatically think about all of the scary enforcement tools that they use. They use liens, they use levies, wage garnishments, and in extreme cases, they use passport denials. But what people don't really think about is the fact that the IRS has an incentive to work with you on your tax debt. They'd rather get something than nothing, right? But then also, there is a legal boundary that they have. They are, by law, not allowed to cause you economic hardship. So there's a ton of tools that they have to help the taxpayer address their tax debt. This can include anything from a courtesy first-time penalty abatement all the way to the famous offer in compromise, where you can get a huge swath of your tax debt taken off as long as you stay compliant. Look, life happens. Sometimes people have a parent that gets sick, or a spouse that dies, or even a natural disaster that destroys all of their documents. And that's the reason why they couldn't file. There's a million different circumstances. There really is no shame in getting into tax debt. The real shame is not getting help. We can't change the past, but we can change the future by being solutions oriented. The second one is do not procrastinate. And we know the obvious reasons why, right? We have monthly penalties that continue to pile up as you ignore those notices. And then we also have interest alongside it. And that interest compounds daily, unfortunately. But there are reasons that are not so obvious that would make you want to address this sooner rather than later. And these are things that taxpayers don't think about until they experience it. The first reality is that with the IRS, there are more opportunities and ways to address your tax debt when it's lower than when it's higher. For example, if you owe less than $50,000, all you have to do is go into the website, go into your ID.me account or create one. As long as you're compliant, you can just set up a payment plan. So the longer you stay not addressing this bill, the higher it will get, the more years are going to be tacked on, and the less opportunities you have to address it. The last scenario in which I want to address this procrastination is when the liability is actually wrong. What you'll notice on your notice is that you typically have about 30 days to challenge the debt that they say that you owe. I think you get where I'm going here. Overall, it's better to deal with this sooner rather than later because it can cost you time, it can cost you money, and it even can cost you the opportunity to challenge the actual debt. Okay, the third one is my favorite. Don't purchase big items. So I know some people have this thought process that they don't want to give their money to the IRS. And so they go out and they purchase big things like a vacation or a car. But if you plan on working with a revenue officer, part of that process is going to be an assessment of your financial situation. It's found that you sold assets and made a huge purchase, or you paid off another bill that wasn't your IRS bill, then that can be considered a dissipated asset. So if you plan on doing an offer and you have concerns about what you can keep, what you can get rid of, you have a lot of assets, the best thing to do is to work with a tax professional who will work with you on a strategy, and then you'll be able to negotiate what you can keep and what you can't keep. And at least all of this will be done legally and ethically, and you won't jeopardize your offer. Okay, so the last one is do not prepare your taxes. Now I know, former IRS person is going to tell you not to be compliant. Okay, hear me out. If you're not interested in an offer, or if you don't qualify for an offer, then by all means get compliant. And by get compliant, I mean make sure that the last 6 tax years have been filed, that all of your estimated tax payments are paid, and that your payroll is up to date. Then you can go ahead, go for your payment plan or make a full payment, short-term payment plan, all the things. However, if you plan to work with a tax professional, then you might want to halt before you speak with that tax professional. Why? because how and when you file your delinquent taxes is actually going to be part of their strategy. So if you immediately file, then you might find that you've done that in a way that's going to cost you substantially more money or even substantially more time if you and your tax professional decide that the best thing to do is to amend the taxes that you've already filed. So again, this is only for people who are hoping for an offer and want to work with a tax professional. I hope this video has been helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I'm going to upload more videos with more tips. And of course, if you're in need of a tax professional, don't hesitate to reach out and book a free consultation. Ciao for now.